The great hall of Varith pulsed with light from 1,000 biocrystals. Alien nobles, tall and glimmering with metallic scales, lined both sides of the throne walkway. Between them walked Captain Elias Ward, the lone human envoy, his boots echoing against a polished stone as every gaze followed him like a weapon. He was here as an emissary of peace, not power. Yet the moment he stepped into that room, he understood why no other species had dared to approach the Varith dominion in person. Their beauty was terrifying. Their queen most of all. Queen Avalare, radiant beneath a crown of living flame, leaned forward on her throne. Her voice carried through the chamber like music carved from thunder. "Human," she said. "Your world sends one man to face 1,000 of mine. Bold or foolish?" Elias bowed slightly. "Perhaps both, Your Majesty. But Earth has never survived by fear." The hall rippled with low laughter. Avalare's golden eyes studied him, curious. "You speak like a warrior, yet you come without armor." "I came to offer something stronger than armor," he said quietly. "Trust." That word, small, fragile, human, hung in the air like a spark refusing to die. The negotiations lasted days. The Varith Empire had crushed 3 neighboring civilizations and was poised to claim Earth's colonies next. But the Queen was intrigued by the lone Terran who refused to cower. Elias spoke of cooperation, of shared science and open skies, not surrender. Each evening, after the court dismissed, Avalare summoned him privately. They debated philosophy, art, the strange tenderness humans had for weakness. She found it illogical, and yet intoxicating. One night, as violet storms raged outside the crystal dome, she asked him, "Why does your kind risk annihilation for sentiment? For love?" He smiled faintly. "Because without it, we stop being human." Her gaze lingered. "Strange creatures you are. You bleed easily and still offer your hearts. And you," he said softly, "hide yours behind thrones." A breath of silence. Then she dismissed him with a gesture that trembled just slightly. By the time the final treaty was ready, whispers spread through the court. The Queen's fascination with a human had crossed into dangerous territory. Ambassadors feared he'd enchanted her. Generals muttered of weakness. To prove her authority, the Queen announced a right of choice, a ceremony where she would grant her most loyal ally any mate from among the royal line, ensuring loyalty through blood. When she declared Elias Ward the chosen one, the hall erupted in shock. He stood before the throne as she spoke, her tone calm, but her eyes unreadable. "Human, your valor has impressed me. Your world shall be spared, your people granted alliance. And, as is our custom, you may choose any mate among the daughters of Varith. Speak your desire, and it shall be done." Dozens of noble women, regal, radiant, lethal, watched with pride and curiosity. Elias looked at them, then back at the Queen. His pulse thundered, but his voice was steady. "I choose you." The hall fell utterly silent. Even the living crystals dimmed, as if afraid to breathe. Avalare froze. "You presume much, human." "No," he said. "You offered choice. I've made mine." Murmurs turned to gasps. Choosing the Queen herself was unthinkable, sacrilege. Guards reached for their weapons. Yet Avalare raised one hand, stopping them. Her voice trembled like a blade. "You would bind yourself to the ruler of 1,000 worlds? Do you understand what you ask?" Elias met her gaze. Perfectly. Something inside her shattered, something she'd built from centuries of solitude. Slowly, she descended the steps of her throne until she stood before him, taller, brighter, terrifyingly alive. "Why?" she whispered. "When you could have had anyone else?" "Because," he said, I saw the way you look at the stars when you think no one's watching, like they've taken something from you. I want to give it back." The queen inhaled sharply. The entire court held its breath. That night, rumors raced across the empire. The human had challenged divine custom and lived. Some claimed he'd bewitched her. Others said he'd reminded her she still had a heart. Days passed before anyone saw her again. Then the royal summons came, not for judgment, but for union. The bonding ceremony was unlike any in recorded history. No guards, no chains, no forced vows, only a queen standing beside a man she had once called prey. Their hands touched over a glowing crystal that bound their life signatures together. When it was done, the queen turned to her stunned council. "Let it be known," she declared, "that the Dominion will learn from this union. We do not conquer the worthy. We walk beside them." The court bowed, not from fear, but awe. In the months that followed, Earth's colonies thrived under the new alliance. The queen's image softened across the stars, less tyrant, more legend. Yet in private, Avalare wrestled with something she'd never known: vulnerability. Elias would find her standing alone at the window of her starlit chamber, fingers tracing invisible constellations. "You still think this is a mistake," he'd tease. "I think," she said quietly, "that you disarm empires with words, not weapons. It is unsettling." "Then I'll teach you how we do it on Earth," he replied. "One heart at a time." Sometimes she laughed. Sometimes she simply leaned her forehead against his chest and let silence speak for her. Their bond was tested sooner than expected. A coup brewed within the high command, officers who despised the human alliance. When assassins breached the palace during a diplomatic summit, Elias pushed Avalare behind the throne dais as plasma fire tore through the air. He returned fire with a ceremonial guard's weapon, holding the line alone until reinforcements stormed in. By the time the attackers were subdued, smoke filled the hall and blood streaked his sleeve. The queen knelt beside him, eyes wide with fear she could no longer hide. "You're wounded." He grinned weakly. "Only a little. Guess we're even now." She took his hand, this fragile, reckless human hand, and pressed it against her heart. "No, Elias. You have changed the course of worlds." When the council met to discuss punishment for the traitors, the queen's voice thundered like a storm. "Let it be known, any who threaten this peace threaten me. And those who call the human weak, let them see the courage I have witnessed." From that day, no one in the Dominion dared speak of humanity as lesser again. Years passed. The queen and the human became a myth retold across galaxies, the story of the mortal who tamed an empire's heart. Together they built a fleet for exploration, not war. Varith children learned Earth songs in their schools. And in quiet moments, when the universe slept, Elias would still catch her watching the stars. "They used to frighten me," she admitted one night, head resting against his shoulder. Each one a reminder of how small even a queen can be. "And now they look like promises." He smiled. "Then I did give them back to you." She looked up at him, her gold eyes softening into something purely human. "No, my love. You gave me something greater. You taught me how to choose." And